Hello and welcome to another episode of the LendAPI Partner Podcast. Today, my guest is Bennett Krieger, who is Director of FinTech Lending at Equifax. Welcome, Bennett, to the podcast.
Thanks, Rutger. I appreciate you having me on today.
So I'm really interested in how the group that you're in at Equifax, how that got started. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So myself, I've been here at Equifax for 7 years. I've actually been around the FinTech space for 5 years now. So a majority of my time here, I started on the technology side, working build out rules engines for clients. So much like what LendAPI does today, I did back in the day for an internal platform, and what you guys do has taken that to the next level and multiplied it by 50. So we've come a long way over the years, and I've seen kind of FinTech evolve within myself, but also our group and the ecosystem. For Equifax in total, we've been in FinTech for more than 10 years. We've had a FinTech focus group for just over 10 years as well. And that group's really expanded along with the ecosystem, allows us to drive, more closely with the changes happening there. As you know, FinTech changes much faster, much quicker than traditional banks. And especially if you look at strategic finance or mid-finance or, like branch lenders, FinTech is a different beast. So we realized that as well, and we had to create our own system to focus on FinTech specifically.
Yeah, obviously Equifax is a household name, but doesn't immediately you think of FinTechs, but it's interesting to see that you do have a whole group focused on that, and you've been in that space for quite a long time already. Now, what would you say is the number one use case that you focused on within your group?
So Equifax in particular, most people think of us as an old school credit bureau, like your grandma's credit bureau, is like what our CEO likes to say. We're actually much more than that. We consider ourselves one of the data leaders and data analytics leaders in the U.S. So not only credit, we focus on alternative lending. We actually have cash flow data, identity and fraud, income and employment, commercial business verification. So we do really everything. And we focus on the total lifestyle, that total experience of the consumer, and try to help consumers live their best financial life. So that's our goal. That's our motto. And it's actually in most of our public communications out there that you can read online as well. We drive that kind of from our start, and we help to empower businesses like, lenders, whether you're a credit card lender, a personal loan lender, maybe something buy now, pay later, like in today's world, and help really drive finance to where the consumer needs it. I think that's the heart of FinTech as well.
Yeah, I like that, having consumers live their best financial lives and helping them make that easy. That's a great way to do business. Now, what would you say is your favorite customer story?
It's a good one. So I had a client, let's say about 2 years ago. I don't want to say names directly, but he's out of New York, great guy. And actually he came to us in more of the prospects team. So he hadn't done any business with Equifax. He didn't know us that well. We're really just starting to really create that relationship together. And he's super honest and came up to me and said, credit bureaus are always really slow. Like I've told, he's talked to others, his other CEO friends in the space. And he's like, oh, don't work with Equifax, don't work with Experian. They're too slow. It takes too long. And I made a bet with him that day. So actually proposed, I was like, if we don't get you up in production within 6 weeks, I'll go out and I'll buy you a nice steak dinner. And so that actually kicked off what is a great relationship today. We still stay in contact all the time. And long story short, contract signing into production, we finished the whole process, onboarding, compliance, everything, even testing in 5.5 weeks. Met the goal by roughly, I think it was like 3 days ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it was cool. He actually took me to dinner in New York last year. So we went out to this nice French restaurant, had a great burger, and I don't know if you tried it, but he had me do French fries and mayonnaise. I guess it's a French thing. It was actually really good.
Yep. I'm from the Netherlands. We do that in the Netherlands too. Yep.
Okay.
French fries with mayonnaise. That's the way to go. If you're a close observer in Pulp Fiction, it comes up there as well. But yeah, glad to hear that you won that kind of bet or that kind of challenge. And great to hear that you were able to do that within 6 weeks, right? Because to your point, like sometimes it feels quite daunting, and sometimes you have these ideas like, oh, this is going to take forever. And so it's great to hear that you were able to do that within the 6 weeks that you had promised And nice to hear that your partner actually bought you the dinner, as opposed to you having to buy him dinner because you didn't deliver on that. So that was that's a great story, and that's probably a great point to wrap up this episode. Thank you very much, Bennett, for being on this episode of LendAPI Partner Podcast.
Thank you, Redgrave. I appreciate you having me on today.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This was another episode of the LendAPI Partner Podcast.